All right, everybody. Welcome to the first podcast here. My name is Hutch, and I have two very handsome, eligible. Actually, one of
Hello.
them is eligible. Young gamers here with me. We got SeaNanners, but his real name is Adam, so we're gonna call him
Yep,
Adam.
yep.
And then we got Trumpf or Jonathan Trumpf or Mr. Trumpf or Trumpy.
Yeah, that would be me.
That would be you. So we decided that for the first podcast we would talk about ourselves a little bit, kind of give you guys a little introduction into where we come from in terms of gaming, and then hit on just a few news stories that Trump picked out, and we'll just have kind of like a roundtable discussion about that. And if you guys would like to see anything else incorporated into the podcast, feel free to send us a personal message or write a comment on our profile. Give us some suggestions because we're just kind of playing this by ear and seeing where it goes. So first of all, Trump, I want to ask you, what systems did you own growing up? So what just real quickly, what did you play? Did you have an Atari? Did you have a Game Boy? What did you have?
Well, I had the Super Nintendo, then we moved up to the Nintendo, regular Game Boy to Game Boy Color to
That doesn't make
Advance.
any that
Yeah,
doesn't make
well,
any
you
sense.
went backwards on that. You like traveled back in time.
You said
Well,
Super
well,
Nintendo to Nintendo. What have
did I
I told
really?
you about smoking peyote before recording for a
I
podcast?
like a.
I thought I said Nintendo. It sounded good in my head, but anyways, let's move on. Okay, let's not just harp on me the first 2 minutes
All right,
of
we're
this. All
we're
right,
moving on. You had a Nintendo, Super Nintendo, a Game Boy Color, or Game Boy
and
Advance
Ooh.
was it?
Game Boy Advance. I rose up in the ranks here. Each
All
time it
right.
came out, I was a really spoiled child. Um, then I had the PlayStation 2, GameCube, or I
Yeah.
had the
Yeah.
N64 first, and then I had the GameCube, and then I moved up and I had the Xbox, and now I have the Xbox 360 and the PS3.
Okay, Adam, what systems did you own all throughout your
Well,
lifespan?
I own the Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Game Boy, Game Boy Color. Didn't own a Game Boy Advance. Actually, wait, I do own a Game Boy Advance. We had purchased it to play one of that four-person Zelda mode. Anyways, I had Nintendo 64. Did not own a GameCube. Owned a PlayStation 2. I had an Xbox. Now I have an Xbox 360 and a PlayStation 3. And I think that's about it.
You guys didn't do any PC gaming? No
Oh
Doom or
yeah,
Counter Strike or
A
anything?
little bit back in the day, I did Rainbow Six a little bit, but a lot of cheating
All
goes
right.
on when you play on the PC, so I kind of backed out of that.
yeah, I'm guilty of that. Back in the day with Doom to Diablo to Warcraft to Counter Strike a little bit there too.
Ooh, snap! You forgot about Jezball. Did you guys play Jezball at all?
What the hell's
I
Jizzball? Jizzball? What
Jezball
are you
is a
talking about?
no Jezzball. Jezball. Just Google it. It's amazing.
I played some
Okay, me
Jizzball back in
personally,
college. Go ahead.
I played some PC games. I played just about every game that Trump said. Diablo, Warcraft. I played a little StarCraft. I played Counter Strike. I played a little Rainbow Six. I played Doom and Duke Nukem 3D.
Oh, Duke
But then
Nukem.
Duke Nukem was amazing. But then as far as consoles go, the first console we owned was a Sega Master System. Actually, we're talking old school here. That was the 8-bit Sega that came before the Genesis. I owned an Atari. Ironically enough, we never had a regular Nintendo, but we
Huh.
had a family friend that had a Nintendo, and I would always go over there and play Mario, or I guess it was just regular Mario Brothers 3, for hours on end. And then we owned Super Nintendo, and then I worked from there to a 64. I never owned a PlayStation product of any sort. I never had an Xbox. I bought a GameCube eventually, and then I bought a Wii because I thought it was going to be amazing and the next big thing. And then I ended up selling it a few months later when I realized that it was a
Casual
terrible
gaming.
piece of hardware. And then I eventually got an Xbox 360, and that is the only console that I own today. So, moving on, Trump, if you had to pick your top three games of all time, what would they be?
Personally, I go for games that have great replay value. In a sense that if I beat this game, I will want to play it again. So I would say Pokemon, like any of the versions on the Game Boys,
Pokemon Snap.
they have always been great games because there's always new routes you can take and there's new challenges every time you start the game. So I would say that's probably number one.
Pokemon.
I also liked Dance Dance Revolution. I would always go to the arcades and play that quite a bit. I don't know if that counts, but I'd say it does because I
I'd
own it
say
for
it
the
counts.
360.
Dude,
I'd say it counts.
You should upload a Dance Dance Revolution montage on your channel, but not just the screen, but you actually dancing. I think that would get a ton of hits. Go ahead, continue.
I'm actually gonna have to think about that. And number 3 would it's actually pretty hard. I'm gonna have to go with a PC game and say The Sims, actually.
Huh.
Oh, interesting.
The Sims has always been a fun game for me because it is new. Everything you do is new. It's not the same like repetitive motions that you do each day, because you can take a new route and you get a new job or whatever need be, and so that's a fun game to play.
So there's Trump's top 3. Adam, do you have a top 3 here?
Are these top 3 game picks in relation to old school games or just all games in general?
In no particular order, and in any platform or any console you want. Just
all right.
Games that you find personally are your top 3.
Oh, top 3 is kind of hard. I guess I want to think it in terms of what games I played the most, and probably the game I played the most would have to be GoldenEye, which is amazing.
Oh,
I played
Nintendo 64.
a ton of GoldenEye.
When I played GoldenEye, real quick, I'm gonna cut you off.
No, that's fine.
This sets me up for my YouTube career, because when I played GoldenEye, I actually set it up so that I was recording it with my VCR on a VHS tape when I beat the Aztec level on the hardest difficulty, which was insanely difficult. Like the Egyptian level was not that bad at all, but the Aztec level was hard as fuck. I actually recorded that and took it to my friend's house and we watched it.
Quick question: there was an April Fool's cheat guide in one of, I don't know if it was GamePro or like what are those magazines, that was basically, it told you that you would unlock I think it was 4 different characters, like all the old James Bond characters, and I think it was either the Egyptian level or the Aztec level, and you had to beat it in some insane amount of time. And I remember beating it and being very confused as to why I didn't unlock, Sean Connery. I was like, what the hell? Turns out it was a April Fool's joke, and I definitely know how you feel in terms of beating that on the hardest difficulty in an obscene amount of time. Very determined to have that happen. Number 2 pick, but it's so hard because all my fondest memories are on the N64. Like I think I played every game on the N64. Like the most obscure games. Like I played like Space Station, Silicon Valley. Like I played some weird games. But probably the second game, Smash Brothers. I played a ton of Smash Brothers. Not a big fan of Smash Brothers on the GameCube or the Wii, but the original Smash Brothers, I love that game. And the number 3, it's so hard because I guess I'm thinking in terms of games I play now. It'd probably be like Call of Duty or Halo, because those are the games I probably played the most. I mean, I played a ton of Halo, 1, 2, and 3, and then Call of Duty played COD 4, World at War, and now Modern Warfare 2. But can't really decide. There's I kind of all think of them as one. I mean, all the Halo games are kind of like one game, and Call of Duty is like one game. But I'm going to make it 4, so Halo and Call of Duty. And those are my picks.
All right. Okay. If I were to pick my top 3 games, I'd have to concur with you on the GoldenEye front, because before online gaming, you would go to your friend's house and play four-person split-screen GoldenEye for hours and hours and hours.
I agree with that.
And those that did well at that game learned to use the yellow directional pads to strafe rather than walk, because you strafed a lot quicker. And you would run a route to get to the body armor the quickest. I mean, I knew everything about each map on that game, so I was definitely a GoldenEye fanatic. My number 2 pick would probably have to be Diablo, just because that was really the first game that I like jumped into, like just poured everything. And then that was actually my first online gaming experience because they had BattleNet. It was like a dial-up connection. And I would tell people in the town or whatever where you couldn't kill anybody, come, let's go down to the dungeon and kill some goblins. And then they would go down there and I'd kill them and I'd take their ear. So my inventory was like 15 ears and like an awesome sword and a piece of armor. And then my third pick would probably have to be Call of Duty. Just I'd have to concur with you on that one. If I had to pick in terms of like sheer fondness and like joy that I got out of playing, it'd probably be Call of Duty 2, because that was the first game that I ever played on Xbox 360. And I was playing down at this video game shop that was a few blocks from my house, where they sold like energy drinks and cigarettes and candy, and you could rent like an hour's worth of video games on a big HD TV for $5. And I would go down there, and I had a running tab, and I would seriously spend $100 to $200 every couple weeks buying Rockstars and cigarettes and playing Call of Duty 2, and I did that for months and months and months.
Huh.
So there you go.
Okay, so none of you agreed that Pokemon is one of the best games
Dude,
of all
okay.
time?
I never played Pokemon because Pokemon is for pussies.
I'm gonna
Trumpf.
come clean, man. Trumpf, I played the first Pokemon, like the red and blue. I played it on Game Boy. I'm totally with you, buddy. I'm not a Pokemon fanatic, but I have played Pokemon. It got a little crazy with all the different color versions and weird things happening.
Yeah.
I lost interest, but the first one I did play.
My first job was at a Burger King, and I was 15 years old, and the very first promotion that they had that came with like the kids' meals was the Pokemon balls. And so you had like parents coming in from all over, like just demanding that they would get the specific Pokemon because their kid wanted it. And from that point on, I was like, fuck this.
And
What is this?
by the way, I will interject on that, and I will say that I have all 7 in the box.
Dang.
Yes.
From Burger King? From Burger King?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Oh,
sir.
no, not you, Trump.
No,
Not
actually,
you.
I eBayed it because I was wondering,
Dang.
one day I was like, I wonder what the price is, because it's been, probably a good 10 years since those things were released, and each one are about $20 each now. So I was like, man, that's actually a good investment that I paid
A
$3.
worthy investment. Nice.
I have a question
Yeah.
for you. Did you purchase Beanie Babies, and did you hoard Beanie Babies? Because that's the
No.
that's the second
No.
thing I can think of in terms of you did you have Beanie Baby?
No, my mother did. My mother was big into Beanie Babies and Barbie dolls.
Yeah, man.
I remember my mom bringing home a Barbie doll that was absolutely amazing. Like the detail of it was amazing, and it cost about $500. And
Dear Lord.
At the time, I didn't have the monetary like grasp that $500 is actually that much, but wow, $500 on one Barbie doll. But we have a shed in our backyard that actually has I think it's around 300 Barbie dolls, and they're pricey.
That sounds like a Barbie shrine. That doesn't sound like a shed. That sounds immaculate. I think you
Yeah,
should.
it-
I mean, if you open up the door and a light just shines down, you're just blessed with.
All right.
Okay, continue.
All right,
Go ahead.
moving on. Moving on. We're going to go to favorite genre. So, Adam, what is your favorite genre for gaming?
Anything involving shooting. I do enjoy shooting things.
So, third person or first person, or do you have a
I'm
preference
not
there?
really a fan of third person. Now, third person on Call of Duty is kind of fun, but it's more like a joke kind of thing. I mean, it's
Like a novelty.
Yeah, I don't think that
Yeah.
I don't really take it seriously. Like I'm not big into Gears of War and any of that stuff. I think it's just mainly first-person shooters.
What about you, Trumpf?
I'm a big RPG fan. Games like
Right.
Oblivion, things like that. I enjoy leveling up your character and things like that, as well as Final Fantasy games. I like those. How about you?
I'm
Hutch?
gonna go with first person shooter. I hate to be generic, but that's
You
always been the
guys-
game type that I like.
You
Hey, man,
guys
I like
are such fanboys.
Pokemon's cool, man. Pokemon's cool, man. I played it, But when it comes
Pokemon
to
is not cool.
well, back in the day when nobody knew that the little rabbit thing gave you a seizure, it was pretty cool. Like this is what am I doing? I'm catching all these creatures. This is amazing. I mean, think about it, dude. If I'm OCD and you give me the option to say, all right, there's 100 animals or whatever it may be, you got to catch them all. I'm like, I got to catch them all. You're right. How did you know? It appeals to my OCD-ness, and of course I'm gonna be like all over that. I'll be like, was it Mewtwo? Man, I
Yeah,
wanted that
and
guy. Woo. I was like, I'm gonna get you. Anyways,
it,
continue.
I thank God that my own gaming OCD hasn't carried on to achievements because I do not give a fuck about achievements
you
one
know,
bit.
I actually had like a 2 month stint of me wanting to just get achievements, and it really gets annoying over time because there are achievements that are ridiculously hard to get.
Left 4
You want a
Dead.
fun achievement? You want a fun achievement? Go get the wax on, wax off achievement for Geometry Wars 2. Knock yourself out, buddy. Knock yourself
You know
out.
what? I didn't go ahead and buy Geometry Wars. I'm not a fanboy. All right.
Whoa,
Geometry
whoa,
Wars 2
easy,
is
easy.
is amazing. I bought that game like a year ago, actually. Okay, moving on. Moving on. Were there any limitations on how much you could play as a kid? Like, did your parents ever tell you can't play Monday through Friday, or you can't play before a certain time? Trump.
Well, growing up, I was always active. I had baseball and basketball always throughout the day. So I would really only play maybe 2 hours a day. I would get home from school, do my homework, and then I'd go and have like baseball practice. And then when I got home, I'd eat dinner and maybe play for an hour, and then I'd go to bed. So I didn't really have limitations. I kind of set my own because I knew that if I went to bed too late, I wouldn't wake up for school, and then I'd really get it handed to me, I guess you could say. But no limitations for me.
But your parents never told you can't play, during the week or something like that.
Well, no, I growing up with two brothers, I kind of had to learn when I could play and when I couldn't because they would usually be hogging it, or they'd be like, "No, you can't play, so get out of here," and I would just run and go watch TV and cry my eyes out because they
Play
were mean.
Pokemon.
And I'd just go play Pokemon on the couch.
Well,
But
What about you, Adam?
I don't even remember. I mean, it's kind of hard to think back. I guess since I can't remember, I don't think there were any rules laid down. But I think it comes down to everything in moderation. I think if I was probably sitting in front of the TV for 13 hours, I may be kind of reprimanded. But I don't remember my mom or dad ever, saying, "Oh, you can only play on the week or the weekend." I'm sure they'd be a better judge of that, and they know a little bit more. But I don't remember ever, being restricted. I've always been like, games are fun, man. This is cool, but of course, everything in moderation. Don't want to get too crazy. But what about yourself?
My parents were actually really strict. I was raised in a Catholic and Irish, an Italian family, so they definitely had their, and I even went to a private Catholic school from like 2nd to 12th grade, and their rule was that I couldn't play past 8 o'clock on Sunday night, and I couldn't play before school got out on Friday. So there was no video games between Sunday past 8 until Friday after school because they wanted me to get all my homework done. Same thing with
Dang.
TV. We weren't allowed to watch TV during the week either. So growing up, I was kind of like you, Trump. I played a lot of sports. I played basketball and baseball, and I played. That was pretty much it for sports. But then when I got like 15 or 16, my parents actually bought me my own TV, and I got my own Nintendo 64. I think I got it as a birthday present, and they didn't question it after that. Like once I hit 15, they were just, I would play video games in my room. So yeah, I don't know if I have any funny stories there. Nope, no funny stories. Okay.
That was hilarious.
So next question I had was, what got you into YouTube? Like, what made you want to buy a capture card and making videos? Trumpf, I already know the answer to you, buddy. I'm gonna let you go.
Well, as much as you would like to hear, it was Hutch that made me want to get into YouTube. Okay, yeah, I do have to say that.
Get
It
the
was
fuck out of here! Yeah, I was gonna say you and Pap would have never bought a capture card if I hadn't come up with that idea.
Well, the reasons we had it was we always said, man, we're better than Hutch. We can make better videos than Hutch. And and so we were just one day together. I was like, dude, do you wanna go buy one and see what happens? And he said yeah. So we went out and we bought, which is essentially a Dazzle. And I remember my computer not being fast enough. And this was
Yeah.
about a
You
year
guys
ago.
had problems. You guys had problems with those
Yeah.
dazzles when you first. I would get messages from
Who-
YouTube constantly asking
who
me
is-
about render settings and stuff.
Who is we? What are you talking about? You and who else?
We have another friend named Pap, and
Okay.
him and Pap, we played a little bit together for COD 4, but then when World of War came out, we played that game together all the time, pretty much every night for months and months and months. And they bought a capture card shortly after I did. What's funny is you guys are both better than me, so you were right about that. So, but people don't realize that.
Yeah, but see, we don't have the same effect on people that you do. See, you and Adam have the tenderness, and the kind-hearted spirits. But myself, I'm a little more stern, but I'm not as
Dude,
as likable.
You like Pokemon. What's not to like about that?
I know, that's what I'm saying. I mean, if you like Pokemon or you don't like Pokemon, you're on one side of the fence or the other, and I'm on the one side.
What about you, Adam?
Well, I was. I don't really have any exciting story. I just kind of was like, hey, I should start doing this. And more or less, it was. I was living in D.C. for about 6 months. I was living with my girlfriend at the time, and we were both trying to find work, and things were very not fun in terms of it was cold, and finding work was frustrating. And I think more or less it just turned into something. It was something I wanted to do. I didn't actually buy the capture card when I was in DC because, just trying to, sort my life out. But came back to good old San Diego and said I've been wanting to do this for a while. So I went ahead and bought a capture card. And I wanted to make sure and get a good quality capture card. And I originally looked at the HD PVR, but I wanted to play in HDMI. I didn't want to play with component because I use a computer monitor to play. And got that set up and started making videos, and then everything kind of just fell into place.
Well, what videos had you seen before on YouTube before? I mean, you didn't just randomly say, "Hey,
well, I think
what if I recorded video games and put them on YouTube?"
It was you, Blame Truth, Excalizors, and of course, there's a bunch of people that aren't as well known that I saw. But for the most part, it was like I think it was an exercise of this looks like fun. This looks like something that I would be good at, and I have the film background. What's up?
You never watched Grizz?
I don't. I mean, I think it's kind of a lot of people ask me why I don't make montages, and I don't really like montages. And I think if anything, Grizz is a very big montage-heavy guy, and my big thing is commentary. I think that's where my interest lies. I don't think that the whole. I don't want to, give my strong opinion about montages. Let's just leave it at. I don't really enjoy
them. You are allowed to not like montages. There's nothing offensive about that whatsoever.
But I definitely like the commentary, and I don't understand the whole montage phenomenon, but I assume that many people do, and that's why many people enjoy them. But I definitely just enjoy playing games, having a good time, and talking, and that's pretty much was my game plan when I got the capture card.
So I have to interject here. You say you don't understand the montage thing, but are you a fan of sports like basketball or football or anything?
Nope. Well, the thing about me is that all the activities I engage in. I mean, if you think about it, it's like I'm into film, art, skateboarding, film, music. Not exactly a football mentality and/or basketball and/or whatever it may be.
Skateboarding.
No, that's not a sport. Skateboarding.
Do you still wait? No. I'm just saying. Like, do you still skate? That's my question.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that it's a little more difficult now because, of course, going to spots and getting kicked out is a little bit strange when you're 25. I mean, every once in a while. I mean, I've kindly been kind of stick to flatland because I don't like dealing with security guards. I think you hit a certain age and you're like, all right, this is ridiculous. I'm going to.
I
just,
actually,
what's up?
I actually picked up skating when I was 18, no 19. It was the first time I ever got on a skateboard, and the only reason I did it is because I just started dating this beautiful half Japanese, quarter Italian, quarter Portuguese girl named Fallon, and she was a heavy skater, and she had 3 brothers, and they were all skaters too. And so I bought a skateboard, and I learned how to, like, drop into incline, and then what do you call them, the ramps, like drop into ramps and stuff like that. And like the coolest thing that I ever did on it was I was able to ollie over this, like, maybe a third of a foot little ledge, and then drop into an incline, and then drop into a a bowl right after that. But
do you like a fist pump? You're like, yeah, and like 80s music starts playing in the background.
I spent you're the best around. Nothing's gonna ever keep you down.
You're the best.
I was so stoked when I hit that. But then, you know what? When you fall and you're 6'5" or 6'4", and you're skinny and you have a lot of bones, fucking it hurts. It really hurts. And after a while falling, I was like, you know what? I'm done with this. This is not worth falling and getting a concussion.
I have permanent scars on my palms in terms of falling down so much because we'd skate to the point where your skin would peel off your hand like in a quarter size kind of chunk of skin, and you'd wrap it up with a bandana and just keep going. I mean, obviously now it's just like, dude, I just want to skate around. I don't want to just get tore up. Don't want to rip it and grip it. But
you were the last person that I would expect to have, like, the skate or die mentality.
It's kind of funny. There's a lot of things about me that don't make sense, but I think what it comes down to, all the things that I take interest in are expression, and I know that sounds pretty faggoty, and I don't mean to offend anybody by saying faggoty, but of course I have to.
SeaNanners bust out with the faggoty.
I gotta defend my. What's with the fact? Are we talking about money talks? Are we talking money talks here? Is this what's going on? Trumpf, question.
Hey! There are no inside jokes.
And Hutch. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Well, I'm just saying.
Inside jokes.
Anyways, let's all.
SeaNanners said faggoty.
Was I not supposed to? I don't. Clue me.
No,
Okay.
you can say it. Go for it. Why not?
No. I need to know what this is about. I'm a little confused.
I'm laughing because you said the word faggoty, but keep going. That's all.
All right. Well, that's cool. All right. Well, if anybody is gay and listening to this, please don't be mad at me. I'm just trying to not sound feminine, which I kind of am.
No, SeaNanners, Adam, you were playing on the stereotype. You obviously didn't mean it. I think anybody with an intelligent brain would know that you were not making a homophobic comment.
Main thing about me, don't want to offend anybody. I'm very concerned with other people's feelings, which goes along with the whole expression thing. Anyways.
Question,
okay,
SeaNanners. Question. I have a question for you. You
Yeah,
said you had a girlfriend. You lived with your girlfriend too, right?
Correct. That is correct.
And you guys eventually broke up, obviously.
That is correct.
The thing about you that I've actually thought about before, like laying down to go to sleep at night, random thoughts go through your head. Sometimes I think to myself, I cannot imagine Adam fighting with a girlfriend. Like, what did a fight look like between you and this girlfriend? I mean, I can't imagine you raising your voice. I'd say
I'm not a screamer at all. See, the thing is that the people that I date aren't. I mean, obviously, of course, you're going to attract those. I mean, if you're somebody who likes to raise their voice or hit or whatever it may be, I mean, you're going to attract those type of people. It's like if you're, it's just kind of how it is. And since I'm not a screamer, of course, the people I'm dating are not going to be screamers. People are mad. I think that in terms of fights, people don't say anything as opposed to, like, fuck you, I hate your face. None of that's ever happened.
So you guys were like passive aggressive?
No, not really. I mean, I think it comes down to talking. I mean, I think a lot of my relationships have been, if there's a problem, you talk about it as opposed to blowing up and slamming doors. I don't really see any progress to be made in that realm. Maybe that's just me, but I'm a very. What's up?
You're gonna have to teach me that trick one of these days, because
I heard some commentary about you and your girlfriend and fights and breaking ups, and I was like, dang, you probably get 10 kinds of crazy.
So I take it that a lot of your relationships, Adam, have been long term.
Very long term.
Really, yeah.
First girlfriend was 2 years. Second girlfriend was 2 to 3 years, and this last girlfriend I was just with was about 3 years. So I'm
You are
pretty
just
much
a
yeah.
you're just a
Yeah.
you're a dreamboat.
Your dreamboat.
I mean, think about it. I mean, think about it. You have a very nice, educated man that is interested in talking out his problems and not fighting with you, and that in my own opinion of you from knowing you just a short time is you might want to take care of someone and not have them wait on you hand and foot. Like you would be there for them, like if they need something.
Oh no, I think it's very important. I think that, I mean, a lot of the things you're describing, it's kind of like, yeah, that makes sense. But
Yeah,
I want to be your girlfriend.
I want
that's
to
what
do
I'm
you.
saying.
I'm
No, I
yeah.
want to take you out first.
No,
All right, well, I'm a lady.
You lived with your last girlfriend, and I'm
Correct.
living with a girlfriend now, and it's going really well. But
Yeah.
every once in like I'm actually finding out how sensitive I really am because like the thing about guys is that when we get our feelings hurt, we get angry and we huff and puff. So it doesn't look like we're hurt, it looks like we're angry. And so like if she says something and it makes me think that like she doesn't care about like my feelings or how I'm feeling, like I'll start doing the huff and puff dance and like I don't
Oh,
scream or
hell
yell or
no.
anything, but like when you live with someone, it's like, oh man, it gets rough. I'm living in a 1-bedroom apartment right now, so like we got in a fight like a week and a half ago, and it was epic. It was going on until like 5 o'clock in the morning because I kept on saying the same thing over and over again, and she kept on saying the same thing over and over again. Finally, we just decided to go to bed, and then when we woke up, we're like, oh, okay. Why were we fighting again? You know.
I think you'll learn a lot about yourself, and I know that sounds kind of cliche, but there's definitely a lot of things when you get forced into a box with a person, it definitely changes things. And I was living in a studio apartment,
Oh God.
which is even
Oh
smaller. I
God.
mean, and of course, one bedroom's a lot more luxurious, but
We looked at studios too, and looking
yeah,
back, if we would have got one, oh man, I don't know. I don't
it's
know.
pretty tough.
I don't. Right.
Many a nights did my girlfriend go to sleep listening to World War II, which originally is why I got my headset, because she tried to be sleeping and I'm like tango down, which makes for a difficult sleeping experience. But I think definitely I don't know, man. You'll learn that screaming is probably not effective, but of course, if that's your MO,
No, we
then
don't. We don't scream at each other. It just gets a little out of hand. But I think we should move on because this is a gaming podcast.
very true, very true.
Uh, so the next question that I have on my little list here is, what got you into Call of Duty? I'll let Trumpf take this one first too.
I was always into I'm not gonna say always, but I played Counter-Strike on the PC. I think that was my very first person shooter. That
Did you
I
play
played,
Counter Strike Source or Counter Strike 1.6?
1.6, and
Good man.
that was my first person shooter that was actually online, and I got to play other people, and that was actually a big like interest for me. And when I got my Xbox 360, I had mainly sports games. I had like Madden and NBA Live and things like that. So I went to Walmart one day and I was just looking around and I saw Call of Duty, and this was about 5 months after it was released in November, and I was looking at it and I called up,
Which Call of Duty are you talking about? Call of Duty 4?
Call of Duty 4, yeah, Call of Duty 4.
Oh.
My apologies there, but yeah, I was looking at it was about 5 months after it was released, and I'd heard really good things about it, and I said, I'm gonna try this game out. If I don't like it, then I can take it back and move on to another game. But yeah, it was just out of sheer interest of just wanting to see how the game was, and so I picked it up, and I ended up really enjoying the game and the franchise, and that's pretty much what got me into it.
What about you, Adam?
Well, I have a background in Halo. I was a big-time Halo guy in terms of playing a lot of Halo. I think that people are kind of surprised that I actually played as much as I did. And in terms of why I made the switch was, well, everyone was playing it, and I definitely like to play what's new and recent. And I saw that everyone was trying it, so I tried it out, and it was kind of weird at first. I didn't know exactly what I was doing because obviously, when you go from Halo to Call of Duty, it's a much different type of play style, and I think that you definitely have to get used to it. And I mean, I'm used to battle rifles, and it's like I got all these gun choices and perks, and what the hell do I do? And more or less, it was just kind of, it was something new and something fresh, and played quite a bit of Halo, and I had to kind of spice it up. And I guess it's kind of funny. I can't go back to Halo because it's like jumping around in space, but Call of Duty pretty much just replaced all first-person shooters in that it's like, yeah, I could play these things, but Call of Duty's available, so yeah.
Yeah, that's the Call of Duty effect. That's why you see so
Yep.
many games being pushed to early 2010 instead of late 2009. Is because the juggernaut Modern Warfare 2. Nobody wanted to go up against it. There were so many games that were pushed into the first quarter of 2010.
Yep.
Well, we'll see how that goes.
So go ahead, tell us, enlighten us about the Call of
I
Duty.
actually already told my story. I
Call of Duty
picked it up
2.
at the Call of Duty
Yeah.
2, yeah. But okay, no, I got a story. Okay, so Call of Duty 4, when that came out, I didn't have an Xbox 360 because I had actually sold my Xbox because Call of Duty 3 had come out because I bought an Xbox, I bought Call of Duty 2, and then I bought Call of Duty 3. And Call of Duty 3 was such a massive disappointment that I was like, there's no reason for me to own this console. I'm selling it. And then Call of Duty 4 came out, and I was like, what is this glorious game? And so I bought a 360 this one night. My friend had one, and he sold it to me for $300. At the time, they were selling for $350 or $400 or something like that. But he didn't have the cable, the regular AV cables, the red, yellow, and white ones. And I was like so fucking on a mission this one night to get Call of Duty 4 and to play it that night. And so I fucking and I didn't have a car at the time, and I was working in a different city, and so I had to take the bus to my job. I ran from my work to Target to go see if they had something, ran back to the bus stop, realized that they might have still had it, ran back to Target, ran back to the bus stop. I bought high definition cables because the guy there said, I don't know, they might work on a standard definition TV. So I bought high definition cables, went and got the Xbox, went to Blockbuster. I'm like sweating at this point from all this running. And like I don't have a car, right? So I'm like taking the bus everywhere and running everywhere. And I get home and it didn't work. So
Womp
that's
womp.
because go figure, high definition cables don't work on standard
Well,
definition TVs.
if you purchased Pokemon, all these problems would be eliminated, and you and Trump could
Right.
battle on your dual Game Boys. You
Yep.
could compare Pokemon. It would have been effing
Right.
amazing. But
I
apparently-
actually never responded to what got me into YouTube. So
Yeah,
maybe I
tell
should
us.
do that. What do you?
let us know.
I got into YouTube quite oppositely from Adam here to make montages because I was so effing fascinated with them. Because like I saw a montage from HQ Fighter and from Grizz, and like just something simple. I mean, this is back when montages weren't the Michael Bay production that they are now. It was just like you'd have like a single really awesome shot. And if that synced even just like a little bit to like an AC/DC song, I was like, "Whoa!" Because like I wasn't that good at the game when I first discovered these montages. I really wasn't that good, and to see someone like Grizz no scope someone who was like 10 feet away was like astonishing to me. And of course, that turned into people pushing it more and more and more, and getting no scopes across the map and doing 720s with just ridiculous amounts of spins. And when that started happening with montages, when they really started turning into these like literally like Michael Bay productions, I was like, oh god, I don't really want to do this anymore, you know. So like I would make montages every once in a while, but then I started drifting towards doing commentary, and somehow the channel just reached the epic proportions that it did. So there we go. The next question on the list was, were there any other FPSs that set you up for Call of Duty? But I think all of us sort of addressed that.
Yeah.
Adam, you had Halo and
To
some other
Halos.
stuff, and Trumpf, you had the Counter-Strike. And I
Yes.
pretty much agree with you there. You know what? And you were saying this a minute ago, Adam. You were saying that talking about being overwhelmed by all these different classes and perks and things like that. And
Yeah.
along those lines, people asked us what are our favorite classes. So, what are your perks that never let you down, and your guns that never let you down?
Well, are we going to go in the same order as far as Trump, or would you like me to continue?
No, go ahead.
All right.
No,
well,
Adam, go ahead.
As far as perks go, it was kind of at first I didn't know exactly what I was doing. I thought Bling Pro was like the thing to have. I was like, oh, you can have 2 things on your gun. This is awesome. But then I soon realized that since I don't try to die as much, it's not beneficial for me to have, I mean, you can get like 10 kills and then you're out of ammo and you have to pick somebody else's gun. So I went from Bling Pro to Scavenger Pro, and that's pretty much what I have on all of my classes because I just run around and get ammo from shooting people, and especially when you have claymores, you can have 2 claymores out at a time, and you could just constantly refill them, which is it's a little unfair, but for somebody that doesn't die, I mean, I could plant it on the other side of the map, and then 3 minutes later get a kill. It's it's funny, but it's just kind of nice. It's just like free kills everywhere. In terms of the second perk, I've always kind of done stopping power because you never know with connection. Like if I had perfect connection, I wouldn't use stopping power at all. But I have a basic internet package. And a lot of people seem to think that I have some sort of like Steve Jobs internet, and I don't. It's just living in an apartment by myself, so I can't afford to buy some fancy internet package. But stopping power, I want to make sure I kill him. I've been using hardline a little bit with the TAR 21, which it seems kind of nice. But I don't tend to have problems getting the higher streaks a lot of the time, so it's like one extra kill isn't that big of a deal. So mainly I stick with stopping power. And as far as the third perk, pretty much Ninja Pro across the board. And I would use other perks, and I have used them on occasion, but in terms of not hearing your own footsteps and being able to, I mean, it's kind of more difficult in comparison to like World at War to hear people walking around. But as far as preventing you from being seen on heartbeat sensors or even being heard by other enemies is kind of beneficial. So pretty much across the board, unless I'm trying out something new, those are the 3 perks I use. Should I go into guns, or do you want to switch to somebody else?
We'll let Trumpf talk about the perks first.
All right.
First perk, I've actually fallen in love with One Man Army. I think that's the best perk in the game for as far as Modern Warfare 2. Being as One Man Army Pro, it lets you switch to that same class or another class within 3 seconds, and it's refilling everything from your ammo to your special grenades to your regular grenades, which I think is really useful. And then second perk, stopping power as well. I've always been a big stopping power guy. I'm not a big fan of the UAV jammer or the cold-blooded as it is in Modern Warfare 2, and I agree with him on Ninja Pro, and I'm sure you would too, Hutch, because I don't like to hear myself because it's actually a distraction to me.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest reason why a lot of people with headsets use Ninja Pro or what used to be Dead Silence is Call of Duty 4. It's not necessarily so that other people can't hear you, because comparatively not too many people have headsets. I think more and more people are getting them, but
Yeah.
not hearing my own footsteps opens it up for me to hear everyone else's a lot better. And as far as the red perk, stopping power has always pretty much been a must for me. Like you mentioned hardline, and it's just like I don't think it's worth it to give up something like stopping power to take off 1 kill from a kill streak. What's the difference? What's the difference between 4 and 5 kills? It's just.
But I also have to say, in different game modes it could be useful, like in Search and Destroy. I mean, depending on how your
I could see that in Search. Yeah, I could see
Yeah.
in Search that being a viable thing, but
because
like,
I mean, 2
team
kills for a
deathmatch?
UAV, two kills for a UAV in Search. That's actually pretty easy, and that could be
Yeah.
1 grenade. I mean, you know what I mean? That's so it's actually it's pretty useful depending on the game type you're playing.
UAV jammer has never. I shouldn't say never, because when I was first starting out in COD 4, I used it a lot. I guess it's cold-blooded in this game, but cold-blooded to me isn't too appealing, just because like I don't mind if people know where I am, because 9 times out of 10 I can hear their footsteps, and I like it when people charge me again
Yeah.
again and again and again, because it's like people in this game in the Call of Duty series, and there's a lot of newcomers, and a lot of them will just blindly charge through a doorway. Like if I'm on the other side of a door and there's 3 guys there, and I have like an automatic gun, I start salivating when I hear multiple footsteps. I'm like, I'm gonna fucking kill all these guys right now.
It's like kibbles and bits.
Triple
like
kill.
And the blue perk, Scavenger is really good, but I really like sleight of hand, especially when I'm sniping. And like when you're sniping in this game, you're not gonna run out of ammo that much, because it's pretty difficult to snipe in this game, despite what people think. I mean, it's not. I'd say it's easier than COD 4 just because you don't have to worry about Juggernaut, which was just like would make your life a living hell in COD 4. but it's still, I mean, you're going up against like the Scar or the FAMAS, and it's pretty difficult to snipe in general. So the Blue Perk Sleight of Hand Pro, it makes your life easier having that scope come up really quick. I've never even tried one man army. I might have to try that this
Yeah,
prestige.
test. I mean, I for Adam's play style, it'll be a really really useful tool because he's one that does kind of sit back and play defensively, and being able to change your class. Say you're low on ammo or grenades. I mean, or claymores.
I'm sorry. When I used it, I found that it actually made me just straight up camp because it's like when you don't have to walk over a dead body to get more ammo, it's like why move? I mean, like you
Yeah,
literally can find a spot on the map, and I didn't. It actually when I was using it, I didn't like how it made me play. Like it was like I was like super like I don't know, like I was way more protective than I needed to be. And if you don't have the incentive to be like, ooh, there's a little blue package, it's kind of like, well, why move? I mean, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that for some reason the mentality it creates for me. I mean, I think I'm gonna try to actually use it more now that you suggest it because if I think about it, it's like I could plant a claymore, then switch classes to the same class, plant two claymores instead of
But you do give up. You give up. No, but you give up your secondary.
yeah, which is kind of I've
So that's. I mean, I don't know if that.
yeah,
I'd pick scavenger over
but
one
it
man
does
army,
depend.
just in
It does
theory.
depend on the game on the gun.
that's true.
Like
Yeah,
myself, I used it mostly on the ACR with extended mags. So in one clip I was able to take out 3 to 4 people just on the one clip. So I mean, because the clips are so big, and I mean if you used it on a P90 with extended mags, the clip is the size of an LMG clip, like literally. So it all depends on your class and how you use it. But
I actually I get a lot of messages. I mean, I get a lot of messages asking me, and I'm sure that you guys probably get the same amount of message, or well, maybe not the same amount, but very similar messages. People ask me all the time, what are your favorite guns, what are your favorite classes, but they ask it in this way that's like, what's the secret? What's the secret to this game? What's the secret
yeah,
yeah,
setup? And like, I think when you're new, you don't worry so much about that. Like
yeah,
you're gonna do more damage with your gun than your perk. Like your perk is important, but you can kind of be successful with like any perk setup. Like
yeah.
you play to the strengths. You play to the strengths of your perk, and you'll do fine. I mean, but like if you're just starting up, just aim and shoot. Just that's all you got to worry about. Get that down before you start worrying about what your perk should be.
Yeah, but we have more of an understanding of it because we have actual awareness of the map and the game because we've had the history of it. So
You
we
can
know.
well, what we can surmise from this discussion here is you can basically never go wrong with scavenger, stopping power, and ninja. Like
correct.
if you use those
Exactly.
perks, you're fine. Like there's no. I mean, those perks are perfectly fine. That's one of the best setups that you can have in the game. So
I think the problem is that well, I think strategy comes into play more than the gun you're using because when I did like World at War, excuse me, when I did World at War, I mean I could use any gun, and it came down to are you making the right decisions? Are you running in? Are you moving when you should move? Are you ducking? Are you doing this? And I think that the most incredible thing to me is that people don't use a tactical button layout. That is just so important, like to use tactical button
yeah,
layout. I mean, that's immensely important. I don't think, like, I
Ta-
wouldn't even,
tactical.
yeah,
It's hard to transition from default to regular. It took me about a month to
yeah,
really,
it's,
really really program into my brain to not try and melee people with the right analog stick. But once you get the tactical setup down, it's like
yep,
See,
it's a really good thing to have down.
and I was the opposite from you, Hutch. I had a hard time playing on default because I was never one that liked to use my knife because I would always get some kind of BS happen, like my knife wouldn't hit him or I would die in the middle of the lunge. So I never wanted to knife, and so the fact that I was able to crouch with my right stick made it easy because the knife was out of the way.
Yep.
Like there's times
Well,
where I would
I
aim
try.
or
No,
I'd
go
go to
ahead. Go
aim
ahead.
and the guy would and I would accidentally hit the right stick and just from like excitement or whatever I got scared and I would hit it and be like, oh damn it. So it actually helped me.
That still happens to me quite a bit. I'll find that after I shoot, sometimes I'm crouching, and it's because I'll get really into it with my hands. I'll be like, like when I'm taking a shot, and like sometimes I'll unaccidentally press in the right analog stick, and I'll start ducking after I pull off a snipe or something like that. But Call of Duty World at War is actually what got me to make the switch, because I tried switching to tactical for COD 4 when you and me were playing game battles, Trumpf, and I couldn't do it. I could not do it, and I was playing so terrible. And then when World at War came out and the knives were fucking useless in that game, I was like, well, this is the perfect time to switch. So, and then after that, it was easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. What about guns, Trumpy? What are your favorite guns?
Well, hands down, I know my favorite gun would have to be the ACR. The power and the accuracy and the clip size of it, I think, is just completely balanced in
Well,
that
not
game.
not the power, because it takes 4 shots from a distance with the ACR. Like what they take off for damage, they make up for in accuracy, because that is the most accurate gun in the game. Like you
Yeah.
can snipe people across the map with that gun.
Well, what
Eh,
about
eh,
the FAMAS and M16 as far as accuracy?
Well, those are self-explanatory. Those are on their own class. Really.
Something else.
I actually think that the M16 has more kick than the ACR. Like you can
Yeah.
you can fire like 6 rounds of the ACR, and there's not
Yep.
a lot of recoil.
I think with stopping power, because like my favorite, like at first I was always like, oh okay, well the M16 is obviously going to be the superior gun choice, and the FAMAS is going to be superior. But I really like the ACR. Like I just like using it. It may not be the best choice in a lot of situations, but it's just fun to use. And I mean, if the intent is to have fun, then that's definitely where it's at. I like using the ACR quite a bit. And I don't know if it's just me, but it seems like it's a headshot magnet, because it like kicks just ever so
Yeah.
slightly, and just because if you shoot like in the center mass, like I don't know what it is, it just seems like I get them like all the time, and it's like, oh, this is awesome. But
Right. It's like the MP40 in World of War. That thing was the most random headshot machine ever.
yeah. And well, we'll not talk about World of War, but
Well, what about submachine guns? I'd have to go with the P90 myself. I think it's clearly the dominant submachine gun in the game. The Vector's not too bad, but you have to hang on to that trigger, because it takes more shots than like an MP5K or UMP. But the Vector doesn't have a whole lot of recoil at all.
yeah, I'm a fan
What
of
do
the
you think,
UMP. I think the UMP is definitely, in terms of, because I don't like to compromise the being able to shoot somebody from a distance, and I think that a lot of the SMGs kind of, I mean, obviously I can't go in with a MP5 and try to hit some guy across the map because it's jumping all over the place, but if I had to decide, probably be the UMP.
yeah, I think that's the thing that they changed the most is the MP5 from Call of Duty 4 virtually had like no recoil at times, or had random recoil, I should say. But in Modern Warfare 2, it is in my opinion, the worst submachine gun in the game. I think
Yeah,
it
I
has,
thought I liked it. I thought I liked it the first time around using it. I'm on a second prestige now, so I'm trying to level up the guns to get the challenges done. I just tried the MP5K today for a little bit, and it kicked so
Yeah.
much when I used it. I was like, I cannot use
yeah.
this.
But I would say my favorite, which might come to a shock to you, Hutch, because I
The
hated
Mini
the
Uzi?
gun, is I like the Mini Uzi. I think
It's not terrible. It's just, I mean, the clip runs out really quick. It's not as good as the P90. It's just you can't. There's no way. The hip
But-
fire on the P90 and the accuracy of it is just way better than the Mini
but
Uzi.
but for my play style, the P90 has always been a good gun, but for me, I never get the same kills that I feel other people get with it. Like I feel like they will outgun me point blank, even if I had the host. Like we could start
Well, that's
shooting at
because
the
you're
same
stubborn
time.
and you refuse to shoot from the hip. Shoot from the hip from that gun, you're good.
You know what, Hutch?
You are good.
It's so hard. I've been on this prestige, this second prestige, for a day and a half or 2 days, and I have one kill with steady aim. Okay, I don't fire from the hip. I cannot do it. But
World of War ruined hip fire for you.
it really did, because I could
Uh.
not ruin my skill type or my skill.
What
level.
about light machine guns? I think I'm gonna have to go with the AUG. I mean, the RPD is certainly a beast, but I think the AUG is a really solid gun.
I
It's
think
basically like a heavy assault rifle
Yeah.
with a little bit smaller clip than like the RPD or something, you know.
I like the RPD with sleight of hand. I think that's definitely a gun that is fun to use in terms of, because I mean a lot of the light machine guns, if you don't have sleight of hand, it's pretty tough to manage that slow look down the iron sights speed. But
Right.
with that, you're good to go.
I I don't think I can actually say what my favorite is. I think I have a total of maybe 20 LMG kills.
Right.
I don't
Yeah.
touch them honestly. Like
They
it,
seem to have pretty decent accuracy, like certainly better than, well, I don't know, because like the RPD and the saw in COD 4 are actually not that bad to use, but
the RPD. You put a grip on that. I used to use that in game battles over the
right.
M16 if I had the host because it was 2 bullets from long range and it didn't really move, and it was a powerful gun. So that
They're good guns, but I don't think the trade off is worth it in the long run because it slows you down so much. I tend to stay away from the light. I tend to stay away from the light machine guns in general because they just don't fit my playstyle whatsoever. Uh, okay. I don't know if we should spend too much time talking about this right now because, right. Well, I mean, like I said, like an hour to 2 hours when I first brought it up. So let's just have Trump present his news stories here. And if you guys have any other questions about our take on certain aspects of Call of Duty, then just send us a message and we'll do our best to respond to that. So Trump, you picked out 3 or 4 little news stories to touch on here.
yeah, actually, yesterday, the Halo Reach trailer was released from Bungie for IGN.com as well as YouTube. It's been all over, and it was a really basic trailer that didn't really give you much detail or much information about it, but at the end it said the Halo Reach beta is coming in this, or the beta, multiplayer beta is coming in the spring of 2010, which is, maybe 4 or 5 months away, and your
Yeah.
invitation was given to that beta if you purchase ODST.
Yeah,
So
but you knew that when you bought
yeah,
ODST.
yeah, but we weren't
Yeah.
sure when the beta was coming out, which is now, being as it's going to be 4 or 5 months away, is actually a
Yeah.
really exciting thing, because I'm sure that's going to take a lot of people from Call of Duty and from Halo 3 and put them on that beta. So it's going to be really interesting to see the transition of
Well, Halo 3 and Call of Duty games in general have been duking it out for the number one played game on Xbox Live for quite some time. But I think it's pretty telling that for months it was the top 3 games. It was either Call of Duty World at War or Halo 3 was number 1 and number 2, and Call of Duty 4 was number 3. Now you have to guess that Call of Duty 4 players and World at War players, a vast majority of all of them, because there was kind of a schism in the franchise where a lot of people stayed behind on COD 4 and a lot of people moved on to World at War. But I'll bet you a lot of people left both those games to go to Modern Warfare 2. And I'm not entirely convinced that Halo Reach can topple the juggernaut that is Call of Duty. Adam, what do you think?
Well, I think that once you play Call of Duty, it's very difficult to go back to Halo. And I think that even if it was, I mean, I didn't buy ODST. I didn't play the ODST. And I think that once you make the transition, it's like, I mean, I guess I would compare it to some sort of, I mean, if you had to make a decision to like, all right, well, Call of Duty is like this super cool girl with a great personality who's hot as hell, and Halo is reliable, and you knew her in high school, but for the most part, it's like you gotta grow up and you gotta move on and you gotta find greener pastures.
You're gonna piss off a lot of Halo fanboys with that statement, right?
Well, I don't. I mean, it's fine. I mean, I'm not saying Halo's a bad game. I'm just saying that it's very difficult to. It's like going back to Halo 2 once you played Halo 3. It's like, why would you do that? I mean, it makes no sense to me. It's like, it seems like a logical progression, and it's like, all right, well, Halo was fun and it's what it was, but for the most part, you just kind of go and you try new things. I think that
Well,
it's definitely.
Halo for me was is I appreciate the game for probably an entirely different reason than you do. And I'm talking to, well, actually both you guys. I appreciate that game because I'm terrible at it. And so when I go in and do bad, like I can still have fun with it because I don't have any
Yeah.
expectations for myself. If I go in and play Call of Duty and I do bad, I can get really frustrated and I can get really irritated. But if I go in and play Halo and I do bad, I'm like, this is still fun though. I get to try and foreshadow people with the BR, and when I do, it's like this huge victory for me. But
The thing
I
that
think
what I was gonna say is the transition that players made from Halo 2 to Halo 3. The biggest complaint that they had was the fact that the reticles were no longer, if it was on them, it hit them. Now they had to lead their shots. I was wondering if they were going to bring back the old Halo 2 and Halo 1 concept of you no longer have to lead your shots. If you're hitting them, you're hitting them. If they're going to do that, that's going to bring a lot of the old Halo players back, and that's going to put them on that game. And just it being a new Halo game in general is going to bring a
Whoa.
lot of attraction there.
Hold on for a sec, guys. My cell phone is going nuts.
Well, someone needs to learn
imperfections
how
of
to
a
put it
live
on vibrate.
podcast.
Professionalism. No, I had my alarm set for 12:30. That's why I went off. Apologize, guys. Continue.
Oh.
But I think the
Well, it's
transition.
gonna sell. I mean, it's gonna sell millions of copies regardless. I mean, even if you don't have to lead your shot, if you do have to lead your shot,
Yeah,
it's still gonna sell really well. But I don't think in the long run
I think
it's
I
gonna
think
overtake
my
Modern
most
Warfare 2.
my most concerned interest on it is what is Major League Gaming gonna do about it? Because Halo 3 has been their moneymaker, their bread and butter of MLG. And if you're an MLG pro or you follow Halo, you know a lot about these pros and you know them, by name, Hysteria, Snipe Down, T Squared. You know these people if you've watched Halo or you have any kind of interest. And I'm interested to see if they take Halo Reach and make it professional. Because if they do that, that's going to bring a whole new competition level. Because it's
I
going to be
think they're
completely
I think they're
different.
going to I think they're gonna have to really. Like
Well,
you
yeah,
can't put all your eggs in one basket for that long. You can't have Halo 3 be the one thing that carries an entire company for years and years and years. And by the time Reach comes out, I mean it's not going to be like ODST where
no,
people
this is a whole
bought it.
new.
Yeah, no, I understand that, but I'm making the comparison that it's not going to be like everybody stopped playing whatever they were playing and they bought, well, except for Adam, and they bought ODST and they played it for a few days, a week, and then they went back to Halo 3 and Call of Duty. Like I think Halo Reach is going to be like what ODST should have been. Like,
Yeah,
I
the
I
ODST.
enjoyed ODST, but like when I first heard that it was announced, I had a completely different idea of what it was going to be.
Yeah,
And
yeah. A
it
lot of
ended up
people
it
did.
ended up being sort of a $40 game packed into a $60 box, and but I think Halo Reach is going to be like the next like Halo 2, Halo 3, and then Halo Reach. So I think they're going to have to take that on as their new Halo game that they play professionally. I'm surprised that they don't have PCL for Modern Warfare 2 yet. Like this is the highest selling game of all time, and they're not.
Oh,
I don't understand why for weekend after weekend on MLG.com you saw Rainbow Six, Halo 3, Halo 3 and Gears of War, and you didn't see Call of Duty. I was like dumbfounded by that because Call of Duty was the number one played game above Halo 3
they
for
they
months.
still they're still working out the bugs. Even Game Battles is still trying to find out balance in the games because of the kill streaks. I think the kill streaks are what are throwing off everything in this competitive gameplay. It's because you're gonna have people that are sitting back, which is what they did in the
Right.
first few days of Game Battles. They sat back and waited for the chopper gunners and the AC-130s or whatever.
Take
have you.
out take out the kill streaks, take out the Model 1887s, and
Yeah,
take out high
exactly.
rise, and you're good.
That's what I'm
That's it.
saying. Is if they
Yeah.
did that, then yes, you'll see more of a competitive balance. But that's what they're working on now. I don't think they're going to see any kind of PCL yet. I'd say maybe beginning February of 2010 is when you might see it come out, because they've already announced that Modern Warfare 2 is going to be MLG, because the last Call of Duty 4 tournament, which was in Anaheim, or the last MLG event in Anaheim, was the last Call of Duty 4 tournament championship. So
Well,
Modern
did you
Warfare
guys
2,
did you guys actually watch the Halo Reach trailer?
Yeah, I watched it.
There actually, I think there was one that was released today, a new one, because there was the one where it was just like a teaser, and then there was one where it was like, they were basically, it was like a more detailed piece that had like multiple like Spartans walking
Yeah,
around.
I watched.
Okay.
I watched that one. Yeah.
Gotcha. I mean, I like the fact that they're actually. It seems like they're giving character to the different types of, as opposed to like, just specific armor. It's like, okay, well, one guy's got like, a knife on his shoulder and he's like painted his helmet, and like it actually seems like a
Yeah.
little bit more legit. Because I think the problem with Halo, and I don't want, of course, I'm probably going to offend people, is that it seems too stark in a sense. It doesn't seem like everything is too like 2001: A Space Odyssey. Like everything is just kind of like bleak and stark, and like when you play like Modern Warfare 2 or COD 4 or World at War, I mean, all the characters have like different depths to them. And I think that when you get to Halo, it's like everybody's a generic robot.
No, they don't.
No, I'm about,
The main character that you play in a Call of Duty game has personality.
well, look at Ghost, dude. They're gonna have a whole entire game spin-off because of the character from Modern Warfare 2. Did you hear about that? Or
Okay. So you're talking about the supporting characters. I thought you were talking about
no.
who you play.
Well, obviously, because you have all these different characters, you can't. There's not one person. I'm just saying, in terms of, like look at Modern Warfare 2. The game is really beautiful. Or look at Uncharted 2, which is obviously something unrelated to this. But in terms of having more of a palette, a depth, I suppose. I mean, like space is cool, and I guess it desires a certain level of set design, but for the most part, I think that I've always kind of felt like with Halo, it's like you got Covenant stuff, you got Spartan stuff, but I never really got too into the world. It's like I played Halo because it was like multiplayer, it was online. Like I was big on Halo, dude. I mean, I think it's kind of funny. Most people are like, "You were a level 50? That's crazy." And I've always, if a game is like the big game of the time, is usually the game I'm gonna be playing. So it's like I'm not partial to like, I'm not gonna be like, oh, Call of Duty 4 is awesome, but World of War sucks. It's like I want to play the game that's out and new, and I think that I don't understand why MLG doesn't have, like, I remember funny story. I actually went to a MLG tournament up like in, I think it was like off the 8 over in like San Diego. It was like at some hotel. And it was funny. I remember we were walking past, and they were giving away free Dr. Pepper. And I will never stand up. I never pass up free Dr. Pepper. So I took some, and I heard a conversation a couple guys were having in relation to Halo. And I had made some comment about like, well, why isn't Call of Duty? Why don't they have MLG tournaments for Call of Duty? And they did the generic like, Call of Duty, that's stupid. So it was funny because like they kind of like scoffed at it, and I was just like, I don't understand. It seems like this, and as it stands now, Modern Warfare 2 is the superior game, and Halo 3 has been out for a while, and I'm sure plenty of people enjoy the game, and there's nothing wrong with the game. I don't know why there's an apprehensive nature to move forward as opposed to just stay stagnant. It makes no sense.
Well, I think Halo 3 takes more skill.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I'll be the first to say that.
does.
I'll be the first to say that now, and I think people want to be entertained by something that takes more skill, and Halo takes more skill. So when you watch a pro, like when you watch Team Fear, it's pretty straightforward. You set up into positions, you get choke points, and you trap their spawn. Like if you're playing a domination game, like you just trap their spawn with an M16, and that's the game. That's and I'm not saying that they're bad for doing that, but that is how MLG COD 4 was played. MLG Halo 3 is 10 times more fun to watch.
Yes, there are probably 3 to 4 strategies on each map for different situations that happen during that map. The amount of practice that they put into that, and the amount of work that really goes into learning how to coordinate with each other and when to push, when not to push, where are they going to spawn, where are they going to take this flag, what would be the best position for this. The amount of work and time that they spend in Halo is actually like mind-boggling to me, because these guys are literally really, really good at what they do, and that's why they're professional. There's people that I've talked to in Halo, they're like, oh, well, he sucks, and I'm just like, dude, there's no way that he sucks. Yeah, he might look bad during that tournament, but Halo's not a single, like, it's not a solo game. It requires a team. Like, you have to work as a team. If you don't have communication or teamwork, you're not going to do well in Halo. And that's what I found the hardest about me playing it, because it was hard for me to play alone. because
Yeah,
one person can only do so
exactly.
much, and if you don't have people on Xbox Live without mics or that don't know the maps or whatever the thing is, it is hard to rank up, and that's the biggest problem that I had with Halo, is trying to
Yeah, I
rank
know.
up.
I know exactly what you mean because I think all three of us can kind of empathize with this idea that when we make videos, a lot of the times I like to play by myself because I go off and I do my own thing, and I can get a lot of kills doing my own thing in Call of Duty. And you can't do that in Halo. Like you really
No,
can't, because like that's why I do so terrible in Halo, because I'm so used to. I mean, like you can in a sense,
Yeah,
but not in the same
because like
sense as Call of
I mean I
Duty.
think that our experiences are kind of different because I mean I was very good at Halo. I think that people would be surprised how good I was at that game, and it kind of it's not. I mean I understand about when you start getting up to like 46, 47, 48, 49, and ultimately 50. You have to have a good team to rank up to that level. But for the most part, if you're just jumping in a random lobby and stuff, like I never experienced a situation where I was just getting destroyed. It's like I've always been the guy, that kind of handles his own. And for the most part, yeah, if they're whoring out the rocket launchers, the snipers, or what have you, you're going to have a very difficult time. But I mean, for the most part, it's not a situation of yes. Well, Call of Duty is. I mean, you can be a lone wolf and you get a ton of kills. And now with Modern Warfare 2, with all the kill streaks, I mean, it makes it even easier to do so. But with Halo, I think that it's funny because it's like I mean I don't know. I feel kind of like on the fence as far as competition because it's like I can compete, but it's like I don't like the mentality of like competing. Like it just seems so like
Yeah,
aggressive. It's
yeah.
like not who I am. It's like I'm good at killing people, yeah, but I'm not somebody that's gonna talk smack. I'm not somebody that's gonna get up in your face. I'm just gonna like sit in the background and giggle and shoot you. That's kind of what I do.
Right.
So I guess
Yeah,
it's
when I played game battles with Trumpf here, we played on a team called the GTFO crew, and our leader of sorts was this guy that was really like he was like a beefcake in real life, and like if you fucked up in the game, he would be like, Hutch, what were you thinking when you did that? What were you thinking when you did that? And like I did competitive play for months, like 6 months. We did game battles for Call of Duty 4. We played hundreds of games, and we did pretty well actually considering. And then we played Call of Duty World of War GBs. I did that a few times, and I went back on Call of Duty 4 and did game battles for that too. And like, but going back to the original team, like I totally agree with what you said. It was just I found out in the end that it's just not me, because like I sometimes when I would do well, I would feel like really rewarded if I pulled off some clutch search and destroy, like when it was in overtime and I had like that team leader was like, good job, Hutch, and I felt like like the abused son that was like, Daddy likes me, Daddy's proud of me, and then if I fucked up and he would like reprimand people, it was just like, damn it, and it was just like the sense of disappointment. And in the end, I didn't really enjoy that, the up and down. But I guess we're kind of straying off topic here. Trump picked a few more topics to talk
um,
about.
I actually watched another trailer of Medal of Honor. It's going to be a modern day setting, which is going to be a new element for Medal of Honor, because I know I played it on the PlayStation 2, and I remember pretty much every single title that they made was World War II based, which made it kind of repetitive, and it was the same kind of thing. It was like, this time I'm Japan, and another time I'm American. It's just, it got kind of old doing the same basic thing. But now that they're making it a present day setting and they're going to have online multiplayer, it's going to bring some kind of competition to Call of Duty, which is going to be something interesting to see, because this is supposed to drop in the fall of 2010, which is about the time Halo Reach and possibly another Call of Duty game is going to be released. But that's not for sure. I'm not sure if they're going to keep up with the Call of Duty a year, because if I'm correct, last year in November World at War dropped, and the year before that was Call of Duty 4.
Yeah, they do it yearly. They
Okay,
do it
okay.
annually.
So Medal of Honor is coming out in the fall of 2010, which should be
And I think
around the
I think
time.
it's just called Medal of Honor.
Yeah, it's Medal of Honor.
I think they did the Rocky
Yeah.
reboot approach and just named it Medal of Honor. Oh.
See, I never
Yeah,
really.
it's set in modern day Afghanistan, and you play as a tier 1 operator, I think they called it, and that means that you only take orders from the president or the Secretary of Defense. And they actually consulted with real life Tier 1 operators. Apparently these people actually exist, which is pretty badass. And yeah, I watched the trailer. It looks pretty cool.
Yeah, and I honestly feel that the campaign is going to be really good. I know I'm going to probably buy this game just to play the campaign to see how the game is. Online wise, I don't know, because I know the settings are going to be a lot different, and it's going to be a completely new game. But I am interested to see what kind of competition this can bring to the Call of Duty franchise. Like how well do you think this will do?
It's not gonna. I was thinking about that as you were talking, and I think that the next thing that topples Call of Duty is going to be on the next generation of platforms. Like I don't see Call of Duty being beaten this generation, like 360 and PlayStation 3. It's not gonna. It's gonna keep its stranglehold on the market, and it's only gonna be when the next like innovation comes that thought of something that Call of Duty didn't think of. Like with Call of Duty, it was leveling up, and it's pretty much just leveling up, and this constant sense of feeling rewarded. And I think that's what keeps people so addicted to playing this game. And nobody had ever done anything like that before Call of Duty. You could argue that Halo did, but not in the same specific fashion.
Yeah.
And like when Xbox 720 comes out, and some company that no one had ever heard of does something with some first-person shooter that no one else thought of, that's going to be the day that Call of Duty becomes a second tier.
See,
I'm trying to say.
I think I have the opposite feeling that you do, because I honestly think that Medal of Honor is going to take the same type of platform that Call of Duty is, and base their ideas around it, but put their own twist on it. Like, there are a lot of things that people complain about with Call of Duty that I'm sure Medal of Honor creators have taken a look at and have wondered, well, if we're going to come out with this game, let's try to avoid this type of letdown. Because
so did Infinity Ward, and that's why you have Modern Warfare 2, which is,
but even
in my
still,
opinion, far superior to Call of Duty 4.
See, but in my opinion, I feel let down with Modern Warfare 2. And that's why I never really got my hopes up, and I told you from the start that I'm not hyping this game up more than what I felt, because I didn't think it was going to be that great of a game.
Yeah, but the bottom line is, Trumpf, is that you're still playing this game night after night. That's exactly the objective that Infinity Ward had in mind when they made a game like this, and it's working.
But I'm playing it less and less every night, and that's also because when I first got it, I was playing it. I think the first day I played it probably 9-10 hours straight, but now I play it maybe 2-3 a day.
That's still a lot.
No, yeah,
if a game developer comes out with a game and they think, if I can get somebody to play this game for an hour every night, it's a success, and you're playing 3 hours, 2 hours every night,
yeah, but I understand
that game is still a success.
How long did I play Call of Duty for? There were days where I'd wake up at 9 a.m., I would take a shower, I'd get dressed, I'd brush my teeth, eat something, get on Call of Duty around noon, and I wouldn't be off until 8 o'clock that night. And then I would get back on at around 10 and play until 3 or 4. Call of Duty 4 was more addicting to me than this game I feel will ever be.
Well, I think the newness of it is what is missing. Like the newness of Call of Duty 4 and the leveling up is what made that game so it's missing sort of a newness because it's more of a refinement. It's more of like an add-on, to the existing formula that Call of Duty 4 had. But I mean, here we are talking about Call of Duty 4. We should be talking about Medal of Honor. I saw the trailer. I think it looks awesome. I don't foresee it doing better than Modern Warfare 2. Not even by.
I'm not saying that it'll be better, because first release is always kind of iffy. You just gauge what you think is going to happen and just hope for the best. But I do think it's going to be a pretty decent game. I don't think it's going to be absolutely like, oh my god, this is the biggest waste of money I've ever spent. I think it'll actually stand up, and it won't.
Yeah, I think it'll be successful, and it will sell well. If
Yeah.
that, I mean, like I'm not questioning that, but
I think the problem is, and you were probably right about the next generation, is that there is already a game, and it's Call of Duty, and any game trying to take its place. I mean, basically, what's going to happen is that when people play that game, they're going to compare it to Call of Duty, whether it be Call of Duty 4 or Modern Warfare 2, and they're going to say, all right, well, this is hypothetically the same game. Which one do I choose? I think the decision is going to be Call of Duty because it's an established game that people have been playing for quite some time, and I think it'd be very difficult for them to push copies when it's like, well, why do I buy this game if it's exactly the same as the game I already have, which I'm comfortable with? I mean, people are going to play it and be like, oh, well, the controls aren't as tight as Call of Duty, or oh, I don't like the perks. There's no perk system. It's not like Call of Duty, and that's what's going to happen. And the same thing that happened with World at War was that it's like, oh, well, I like COD 4, and I like this about COD 4. Any game is remotely similar to Call of Duty is just going to be ripped apart because it's not Call of Duty. And I think it's going to take some different games, something not set, in modern day, battlefields. I think it's going to take something like a Halo or something that's very different in order to, push the interest somewhere else, because it's like, if you try to, it's almost like making Titanic 2. Why would you do that? There's already a Titanic. It was already wildly
well,
successful.
this is
Go ahead.
Call of Duty is for consoles what World of Warcraft is for PCs.
Gotcha.
Like there's no MMO that's going to stack up to World of Warcraft until it's done.
But
But
there was one that was kicking ass, and it has been. And I used to play this, and I actually get on it every once in a while just to talk to people. But RuneScape was kicking ass for the past 10 years until World of Warcraft came online. When Warcraft was just Warcraft, and you played at LAN, and that was it. That was all you played. But when World of Warcraft came out, that's when all the little like leveling up system that you're talking about with Call of Duty came, and that's when kids really were like, this is fun, and that's when it became the #1 seller. But to go back with what SeaNanners said about comparing first-person shooters to Call of Duty, I agree with him, because I did the same with Rainbow Six Vegas 2, and that game was actually really fun to play. It had the same kind of aspects that Call of Duty had, but it wasn't the same feel, and that's why I gave that game up. But I do agree with him on that.
Rainbow Six Vegas 2 is a great game, and you can't appreciate a game like that if you're stacking it up against Call of Duty, because it's a very different game. Like you can't, you're not gonna enjoy that game if you're gonna be looking for, and that is sort of a mark of how successful Call of Duty has been, in that it gets you to stack up other games to it that really have nothing to do with it. Like it's not really the same genre. It's a third person, and then when you zoom in, it's first person and third person. So, anyways, you had another. Maybe we should move on to the next one before it gets to be 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, this was just a trailer that I saw that I thought was interesting. It's for Batman Arkham Asylum 2, which I didn't play the first one, and I wasn't really interested because I've never been into Batman as a superhero, because I don't actually see him as a superhero. He's just a guy with a costume on and a utility belt, but and a car. The car makes him.
His superpower was unlimited wealth, just to clarify.
Okay, exactly. Okay, well that doesn't count, okay? But anyways, it actually did well with sales, and it was actually it actually got a few gaming awards that I heard about, but I don't really remember what they were. But I know that you played it, Hutch, and I was just gonna ask you, how do you think the sequel will live up to the first? Because there have been many times where the sequel wasn't as good as the first. Like what I would say, Call of Duty 3 wasn't as good as Call of Duty 2.
Oh God, no.
So how do you think this game is going to live up?
I don't know if I'm too qualified to talk about this too much, because I played Arkham Asylum for maybe 2 or 3 hours, and then when it came time to either rent it again or buy it, I actually just took it back to Blockbuster. Because I liked it. I thought it like the cutscenes were like really well done, and like the graphics were just like, and all the textures and the lighting was like really pretty, and the game itself was really enjoyable. But at the end of the day, I was just like, it's just not grabbing me. But that is considered by many to be the most successful comic book adaptation game of all time. And I watched the trailer, and the trailer is actually awesome. Mark Hamill is just really good as a Joker's voice, and he was the Joker's voice back in the animated series, and his voice work in Arkham Asylum was awesome. And this trailer is really cool. He looked all beat up and disheveled and stuff like that. So it'll do well. I don't really know what else to say about that. Did you ever play Arkham Asylum, Adam? Or
I haven't played it. I think that when possibly in the future, it's so tough with all the games coming out now. But maybe I'll pick it up if it's on sale. Maybe an eBay purchase. But I have not played it.
When you were playing it, Hutch, how was the gameplay? Was like the controls difficult to use? Like how was it?
No,
played?
it was fine. It was really intuitive. It was really easy to use. It was very Splinter Cell-ish, with a little bit of God of War in there. It was like a mixture between like a full-out brawler and something like Splinter Cell, which required stealth and stuff like that. But like I said, there was something about that game that really didn't grab me, and I think it was that you end up, like most brawlers go, you end up fighting the same type of thugs again and again and again.
Yeah.
And I don't enjoy that in video games. Like the repetitiveness in that game was a little too much. Maybe if I would have stuck through it another like hour or so, it would have picked up. But I don't like games that require you to play it for 4 to 5 hours before it really grabs you.
Yeah.
I can appreciate why the game did well, and I can appreciate why it was so highly acclaimed. It just wasn't for me. But as far as trailers go, it was pretty awesome. I liked it.
Yeah. Well, that's the end of the stories that I had today. So, do you guys want to wrap this up?
Sounds good.
I do. I want to eat some Oreos and soy milk and figure out how to deal with this little hacker fuck.
All right. Well, why don't you play us out, Hutch? Give them all the details, all the sum it up type information.
Oh yeah.
Thanks for tuning in. I don't know what day this is going to post. So I don't know if we have a set schedule of when they're going to post, but more details will emerge and we'll let you guys know what's going on. But thanks for listening to the show. Leave feedback. Let us know what you'd like to see or what you wouldn't like to see. And thanks for Adam and Trumpf for. Why am I thanking you guys? This is my show. Thanks to all of us for being here in this collective gaming beauty.
Everyone. Yeah, guys. Take it easy.